Thank you for dialing in on time. Thank you. Looking forward to talking to you this morning. Also, I tell you what is brilliant is just while we wait for people to dial in. So last week I was in Boston for our annual global conference. Obviously, it's the first year in the last three that's been able to happen. But boy, was it good to be back, meeting up with peers, both sort of old friends from the industry and meeting new people in the industry and getting to travel a bit. Boston is a brilliant city. I really like Boston. I normally have a couple of free days at any of those sorts of conferences before the conference starts. But this time because it was my daughter's speech day the day before of the conference, I built in a couple of free days afterwards. And I typically hire a bike and go off and explore the area because it's a great way of getting out of the city and seeing that part of the world. And the area around Boston is beautiful, cycling through some lovely woodlands, some lovely wetlands, seeing some amazing houses. So that's really cool. And then I also did some whale watching one of those afternoons, and we saw whales feeding, which is really quite unusual. And we saw both humpback whales and minke whales. It was just absolutely brilliant. But all of that is under the banner of business, because I was ultimately there for a business conference. And it's just so good to be getting things like that back into working, surrounded by sort of very loose, or maybe written in loose italics. But it's so good to be back doing amazing things like that obviously COVID has stopped us doing. And I'm going to talk a bit about that this morning in the webinar. I'm just going to give people a few more minutes to dial in, because as with all of these things, people tend to dial in a minute or two late. But thank you for those that are already dialed in. Nice to see a few familiar names. But yeah, so just getting back to Boston, going to it's the first one I've said back to Boston. I'd never been to Boston before, but it's a beautiful city. It didn't feel that American in the sense that it was certainly a very healthy city, a bit like LA. Lots of people out running, not kind of your stereotypical America, really. It was really good food, but yeah, just a great city. In fact, 2 weeks prior to that, I was in Chicago for a workshop that I do. And yeah, again, Chicago, never been there before. Beautiful, beautiful city, really good for cycling and running and exploring and all of that sort of stuff. So just so good to be getting back to being able to do business travel, meeting up with colleagues, all of this sort of stuff that we've been deprived of because of the plague. So I'll just give people, I can see people are dialing in kind of rapidly now. So thank you for dialing in, and just give me a couple more minutes while we wait for a few more people. We'll kick off at 5 past, regardless of how we're getting on and where people are, but it's just typically with these things, the first 5 minutes is when everybody dials in. So just great. I hope you guys have been able to kind of get back to a little bit of norm, playing a bit of golf. I can see Andrew's on the call here. I know that you've played golf recently because I was on the same golf day. So again, getting a few more of those experiences into our working life, because work doesn't have to be a chore. It can be a lot of fun, and the more fun that we can make our business life, the happier we all are. I'm going to talk a bit today about merging business with fun, and I'm a big fan of that. The more we can do that, the happier everyone is. And so yeah, we'll hopefully be able to provide some ways today that you can merge business with fun more. And I can see my own accountant is on here on this webinar as we speak. So thanks for dialing in. Yeah, the more we can make fun tax deductible, I'm hoping Wayne is in agreement with that, but the more we can make fun tax deductible and part of our business life, the better, the better everyone, the happier everyone is. So anyway, we'll kick off. Thank you for dialing in on time, and welcome to the Better Practice Makes Progress webinar. Now, I was always taught at school that practice makes perfect, but actually, there's no such thing as perfect. As I grew older, I realized that there is no such thing as perfect. And actually, it's practice makes progress. And I've kind of referred to golf already this morning, but I don't tend to read golf books, but the only golf books I've ever read were by Dr. Bob Rotella, who's a golf psychologist. And he always talks about the fact that golf is not a game of perfect. And also that life is not a game of perfect. And so actually, it's about making progress. And so today I want to talk to you a little bit about how we can make progress in our practice and in our lives. And also look at how coaching can help you achieve that, because ultimately all the best people in the world at anything, Tiger Woods is probably the best golfer of all time. He always had a coach, and all the best athletes in any sport have a coach. Maybe Raducanu is not the greatest example of that at the moment, but all of the best, but she had a coach when she had her amazing success. So I want to just talk to you a little bit about how coaching can help you make progress in your practice. So maybe at the moment you're thinking, well, it'd be great to be making a bit more money in the business. I'm sure you're making great money in your practice at the moment, but wouldn't it be better if you could make even more? And whether that's so that you can extract more, whether it's so that you can spend more on marketing to grow the business more, whether it's to employ more people so that you can delegate more, whatever reason it is, we always want to be striving to make more money in the business. And perhaps you're kind of thinking about your work-life balance at the moment. Perhaps your work-life balance is out of kilter and you're working every hour that God sends. And particularly with COVID, mate, you're not quite sure whether you're working from home or living in the office. Perhaps that's a bit of what's going on at the moment. And perhaps also the fun of business that was there previously, or perhaps the fun that you thought running your own business would be, is just not there like you expected it to be, or like it should be. And perhaps some of the fun has drained out of your business over the last couple of years, whether that's because of the regulator or the plague. So if this is where you are at the moment, where would you like to be? Well, imagine a time where you've got this constant flow of your right fit clients coming to you and asking for your help, so that really you can just continue to write more and more business and grow that business quicker and quicker. So imagine a time that you've got this endless flow of leads without actually having to strive for them. And also imagine a time where you're working only the hours that you want to work. So you're working the hours that you want to work, and that leaves sufficient time, more than sufficient time, for you to do the activities that you love, look after your health and well-being, and also spend time with the people that you care most about. And also imagine that not only are you only working the hours you want to work, but when you're working, you're actually loving the work that you're doing. You're merging business with fun, and you're actually, you can't quite work out whether it's work or whether it is just pure enjoyment, because you're doing the things that you absolutely love to do. So that's one of the reasons why I want to talk this morning about practice makes progress, and how we can make progress in our life to improve each of these different areas. Because of course, we only get one shot at life. We spend a huge amount of time at work, and perhaps we should be spending less time at work, to be honest, but we spend a lot of time at work. So it should be something that we enjoy. We only get one crack at life, and we don't want to miss our children growing up. We don't want to sacrifice our own health and well-being. The average person only gets 4,000 weeks on this planet. So maybe just do a quick calculation. How many weeks does that leave you left? It's a scary thought, isn't it? But why now? Why do you need to act now? Well, firstly, COVID has taken, I think, some of the fun out of business. It's messed up people's work-life balances, and for some people, it's messed up. It's had an impact on their income. And yet, despite the news, despite COVID, despite all of the stressors and the negative news that's out there, we live in a time of abundance. We live in a time where it's actually easier than ever to make more money, have better work-life balance, and enjoy life more. That's why it's so important. But before I go on, you may be asking, well, who is Charlie Redding? I know some of the names on this webinar, but some of them I don't. you may be thinking, who is Charlie Redding? Why would I listen to him? So before I go any further, I just want to tell you a little bit about where I've come from. And to do that, I want to take you to Kalgoorlie Bay, Perth, Western Australia. And I'm overlooking the bay. The sun is setting. I'm drinking a glass of Aussie Shiraz, and I'm soaking up the atmosphere. And out of the from behind me, I hear the voice of my Uncle Bill. Now, my Uncle Bill is a bit of a David Hasselhoff lookalike, big, tall guy, well-built, strong swimmer. And he goes, "Hey, Charlie, how was your first day in Australia?" "Well, Bill, it's been amazing. It's such a far cry from growing up on the farm or even in South Africa, where I've just come from on my travels. It's been amazing to see the houses you've developed, even that castle, all of those incredible things. But what I don't get is you live in this incredible house, you go swimming every day, you've clearly got a very successful business, and yet your house is filled with artifacts from all around Australia and the world." "Well, Charlie, they're simple. I take 3 months of every year to travel both Australia and the rest of the world." "3 months, Bill? You can't. Surely, I thought once you started work, you were restricted to 25 days holiday." "Well, Charlie, if you work for somebody else's business, they set the rules. You work for your own business, you set the rules." And as I traveled around the world, that was like a seed growing in me. And when I came back to the UK, I shunned the family farm, and I fell into a world I can only describe as being a bit like a scene from The Wolf of Wall Street, if you've seen the film. So it was a life in financial services. It was commission-only sales. But I was pursuing what that seed that Bill had sown inside me, that was just about kind of, how could I grow my own business? And I was starting to make some good success, being in financial advice, and I wasn't comfortable with some of the things that went on in the sector, but I started to find my feet. And just probably a year into finding my feet, I got a shocking call from my mum, actually, to say that actually Uncle Bill, the person I had held up to be so successful, so happy, so living the perfect life, Uncle Bill had taken his own life. Have you ever had a time where you've known somebody that seemed to have it all, seemed to be so happy, and yet clearly underneath the skin really wasn't? So I want to fast forward now to 2011, and I'm in the Excel Arena, Docklands, London. I'm surrounded by 6,000 people, and it's dark, and these people are screaming, crying, yelling, because I'm at an event called Unleash the Power Within. It's the most famous event by a guy called Tony Robbins, made famous by Firewalk. So over the course of that 4-day event, I walked across burning hot coals. But it wasn't the firewalk that really changed my life that day. It was what gets called the Dickens process. For the Dickens process, we're all in the dark and booming, because I don't know if you know what Tony Robbins looks like. You can see a picture of him here. He's like 6'7". He's got teeth bigger than I am. And out of the darkness comes Tony's voice of, "I want you to imagine what your life will be like 10 years from now, or even 20 years from now. What decisions have you been making over the last 5 years? Because it's in our moments of decision, our destiny's shaped." And once I'd sort of got past the feeling that I'd joined the occult, I started thinking about what Tony was saying, and thinking back 5 years and going, well, okay, actually 5 years ago, I'd set up my own financial planning business to do the best financial planning possible. And it felt like it was going really well. But also I started listening to what Tony said, and actually I was reflecting on the fact that I was 3 stone overweight. I was working every hour God sends. And yeah, we were quite successful, but I wasn't making the money that really I felt like that my efforts deserved. And so I left that event thinking, right, okay, I need to make some changes here, because what Tony did was he made us look into the future. And he made me look at what my life would be like 20 years from now if I kept going on that trajectory. And I created this vision. I saw myself sitting in a 1-bedroom flat, weighing 20 stone, my gut hanging over the side of the chair, surrounded by pizza boxes. Carol and the girls had since left me. The business had folded. And it wasn't a place that I wanted to be. And Tony said something really interesting over the course of those 4 days. He said, if you make the same decisions today as you made yesterday, you'll get the same results tomorrow as you got today. So what decisions are you making today, but expecting different results from? And what decisions could you make that could maybe transform your life 5, 10, 20 years from now? So I left Unleash the Power Within with this absolute drive and focus to change my approach to life. I completely changed my work-life balance. I strove and now got into, in fact, gone past taking the 3 months a year with my family that Uncle Bill had previously done. And not only did I sort out my work-life balance, I sorted out my health and fitness. I went from barely being able to run up the stairs and being 3 stone overweight to completing Ironmans and ultra marathons and sorting out my health to be in the best shape of my life. And not only that, in 2015, I had my first book published, The Dream Retirement, How to Secure Your Money and Retire Happy. And that book led on to a bit of a roller coaster of success for Efficient Portfolio. I started getting featured on the radio, on cover of industry magazines, in the mainstream media, on TV. And Efficient Portfolio became known as one of the top financial planning businesses in the UK. You don't need to take my word for that. That's what industry magazines have said. That's what the Times and the Telegraph have said. And it was kind of most well summarized by the fact that we just recently won the top financial planning practice in the Midlands, which is, just a huge achievement for us. But ultimately, what was this about? Yes, it was partly about the science of achievement. How do we continue to achieve more and more in our business? But unlike Uncle Bill, it was also about the art of fulfillment. How can we be happy with the progress that we're making, and how can we enjoy the life that we have? Because on that journey, I've really kind of concluded that if you want to create what I called entrepreneurial happiness in my one of my more recent books, there's really 3 areas that you've got to master. You've definitely got to master the money. If you don't have enough money coming into your business, you can't pay the people what you want to pay them. You can't employ the marketing strategies that you want to employ, and you can't live the life outside of work that you deserve. You've definitely got to master your time. If you don't master your time, then you don't have time to look after your body and your own health and well-being. You don't have time to spend with the people that you care most about. And you don't have time to spend it doing the things that you enjoy most. And finally, if you let the fun drain out of business, you're basically, your business will demotivate you. We spend a huge amount of time at work, so you really don't want that to be somewhere that you're not enjoying. And so what I did was I've read huge amounts of books. I've been on many, many different courses, like the Tony Robbins course. And what I did was picked out the most significant pieces that had helped me make a really profitable business and put them into what we call now the Profitable Business Plan, a 4-step guide to making your money work, making more money and making it work harder for you. Then what I did was looked at all of the sort of time planning principles, the time management systems, the things that we've innovated in our business to give me a better work-life balance. And we put them into a 5-step process called the Free Life Business Model. And then finally, again, we took all of the ideas that really helped us create a business life that I loved and really had me coming back time and again. And that we put the ideas from that, the best ideas from that, into the Epic Business Blueprint. And so this morning, in the time I have with you, I just want to dive into one principle from each of these areas, just to give you an idea of the sort of content and the sort of areas that we want to delve further into in the Trusted Team business, which I'll tell you more about later on. So in the Profitable Business Plan, one of the key areas that we want to master is partnerships, because actually this is a key part of what the Trusted Team is all about. It's about building stronger partnerships with like-minded professionals. And I don't know if any of you have read the Steve Jobs biography or any of the books around Pixar. But if you do, you'll find that when Steve Jobs created and designed the new offices for Pixar, which is ultimately actually how he made the majority of his money. It wasn't from Apple. It was actually earlier on anyway. It was from Pixar. When they decided to recreate or create a new environment for Pixar to work in after the success of Toy Story, they took on this massive building, but instead of having like toilets dotted around the building and cafes dotted around the building, he created one big atrium where all the post boxes were, all the toilets were, the cafeteria was there as well. And the reason he did that is because he wanted to create more of those water cooler moments, where the guy from marketing happens to be chatting to the guy from finance, or the guy from animation happens to be chatting to the guy from HR. Because in building those partnerships, that continues to help the business grow and develop better and better. It's one of the problems with working from home, because we in the business have had to create water cooler moments from different people across the business through kind of engineered Zoom meetings, just to avoid only, the advisors only talking to the advisors and the finance guys only talking to the finance guys. But how can we employ this in our business? Well, one of the ways that we can employ it is the fact that historically, the client would, our typical right fit client would have an accountant, a solicitor, and a financial planner. And they're dealing with each of those separately, all getting conflicting advice. And the client is kind of sometimes stuck between two conflicting sets of advice, not really knowing which way to go. So we've talked a lot over the years about the trusted team approach. And that's where really the professionals in practice, the ones that the trusted advisors of the client, get together, share ideas, and put together cohesive plans with all of their expertise. And the reason that works really, really well is two things. The client gets a far better experience because, let's take inheritance tax planning. There's expertise required from each of those three different people. And when they work together, they can create a much better inheritance tax plan. So the client gets a better experience, the client's happier, but also all of those three professionals in practice deal with the same right fit clients. They're just not that good at referring them to each other. So if they work closer together on that client, they can also identify other clients that they can work better for. And that gives you an extra two people's client bases to expand your own practice without having to work any harder. So we've worked with a number of accountants and solicitors over the years, and we've worked out some ways, some good ways to really enhance that relationship. And one of those ways is you must have what we call a phenomenal process, a really clearly defined process that you walk each client through, because it helps the other professionals that you work with, your strategic partners, explain what you do more easily, and that helps get them in front of you. So we mapped out our phenomenal process, this is the shortened version of it. So basically it's all about exploring the client situation. It's about building them a proper financial plan. There's lifetime cash flow forecasting. It's about explaining the financial plan, answering questions. And then it's about making sure that plan continues to evolve with them. So we had a very clearly defined process. But that process also then allows you to work more closely with other professionals in practice because of a number of things. So we found that working with other professionals, and really what we're talking about here is they don't actually have to be professionals in practice. We're talking about anybody that has the same right fit clients as you, but isn't in competition with you. Now, accountants, solicitors, financial planners are obvious ones, estate agents, may well be, but dentists could be. So really, where do your right fit clients, something that perhaps you need to refine, and something we talk about in the trusted team workshops, about what is your right fit client and where do they hang out? Because if you work out where they hang out, you can get other people to do your marketing for you. So one of the ways that we found works really, really well is to give the strategic partner something that they can give to their clients for free, because it makes them look really good and it makes the introduction really easy. So we would always say that accountants and solicitors could give away our exploration meeting worth £297 to their clients for free. It just makes them look really good in front of the client. That makes the introduction much easier. Then you need to be thinking about what can you give the strategic partner in addition to that for them. So we do a financial plan. As I said, it's worth up to £3,000. We give that for free to any potential strategic partner. We do that for two reasons. One is we're trying to create reciprocity. We know if we give something for free, it's a good way of them feeling like they should give something back to us. No bones about it. Reciprocity is an incredibly powerful principle in business. So giving them something for free just kind of gets those cogs turning. But also what's really powerful is that firstly, they get to see firsthand how you're different to your competitors, how good at financial planning you are, or whatever it is that you do. So they get a firsthand personalized demonstration of how good you are. And secondly, they may actually like the advice that you put in that and decide to become a client of yours. And then if they do that, guess what? They're even more likely to refer their clients to you because they are a client themselves and they can tell clients that. So it works really, really well. So what can you give to that strategic partner for them to give to their clients? And secondly, what can you give to that strategic partner that's worth more, that's bigger for them personally to benefit from? That's what you need to be thinking about to get the relationship really started and embedded well. Then you need to think about, so we used to go back into accountants, solicitors, and do quarterly meetings to talk about hot topics, things that we were helping our clients with at that time. We were educating them on how that they could spot things more easily amongst their clients. That was good for us because it allowed them to spot opportunities to refer clients to us, but it was good for them because it made them look good in front of their clients. So how can you add more value to them, but also how can you make it easier for them to find the clients for you? And how can you stay at the forefront of their mind? Meeting up regularly is a great way to do that. Another great way to stay at the forefront of their mind is hosting joint events, because what it allows you to do is, here's a couple of examples. We've done golf days where we get people, invite strategic partners to. We've done referral dinners where we invite clients that have referred us to other clients as a thank you, but we invite our strategic partners to those dinners too, because it's a way of introducing them to our clients and our network. So again, how can you think about adding value to these strategic partners? What do they want? They probably want access to your network. So if you can invite them along to events that gives them access to that network, you're adding value to them, which ultimately will mean that, again, reciprocity and trust will mean that they're more likely to refer people to you. So there's loads of different things that you can do and in fact, in Entrepreneur Happiness, I list a series of processes to go through to sort of say, look, okay, how can we make this strategic relationship work? Because it's all too common to sort of meet an accountant or a solicitor and go, yeah, we'll refer clients to each other. And then we go back to our day job, back into our office, and we've got an inbox full and it all gets forgotten. So if we want to make this work better, and I'll give you an example later on as to how well it really can work. You've got to make it compelling at the start. You've also got to make it really, really easy. And that is really easy in the sense that the other people need to know exactly who you're looking for. And you've got to make it really easy for them to introduce you to those people. So we had 3 right fit clients. The first is the people in the lead up to retirement. So we had the Dream Retirement book. So we would give that to accountants and solicitors to give to any clients that were in the lead up to retirement as a gift. Makes them look good in front of their clients, but it's like the best business card that we can give out. We had the Dream Retirement Dinner, which pre-COVID was a genuine dinner and then subsequently became a webinar rather than a seminar. We also had the tool, the 2-minute retirement plan. So basically, accountant or solicitor or anybody could go, oh, I know somebody that's in the lead up to retirement. Here's a gift of the book, or why don't you watch this seminar or attend this dinner, or why don't you do this 2-minute retirement plan? Making it really, really easy for right fit client number 1. Right fit client number 2 was clients post-retirement that were wealthy individuals that were thinking more about leaving a legacy, inheritance tax, all those sorts of things. Again, we had a book, the Life Legacy Gift, my most recent book. We had a Life Legacy lunch, or Leaving a Legacy lunch, which was again an in-person seminar or an online webinar. And again, we had an online tool. And then right fit client number 3 was business owners, successful business owners. Again, we had a book, Entrepreneurial Happiness. We had the Business Planning Breakfast, which was again seminar and webinar for business owners. And again, we had an online tool to give away. And so it just makes it really clear as to what we're looking for, and really easy as to how our partners can refer those clients to us. So just think about what each of those different principles, how can you add value? How can you make it really easy? How can you give something away and create reciprocity? And you will build much, much stronger relationships with other professionals in practice. So let's have a look at the Free Life business model, and one principle of that, which I'm going to dive into, which is delegate. Now, one of the most powerful principles in business is delegating successfully. And one of the best ways I've seen this happen was I was watching a cookery program with Raymond Blanc, and he was in a kitchen very similar to this one here, and he was preparing the food as he is. It's all in front of him. He's preparing at this particular time. He's preparing some amazing canapes. Now, I'm sure you know Raymond Blanc. You know, he's the owner of Le Manoir, the 3 Michelin star restaurant in Oxfordshire. So he's preparing these amazing canapes, and the fridge is roughly, I think you can actually see it here, it's kind of directly behind him to the right. So it's probably 2 meters away. But when he needed something from the fridge, he didn't go to the fridge. He had a man that did nothing but, as far as I could see, go to and from the fridge to get him what he needed. He never stepped away from the table preparing the amazing canapes, because, and a strategic coach would term this your unique ability. That is his unique ability. That is what he needed to spend all his time doing. And anything that took him away from that, even if it was to pop to the fridge 2 meters away, that was taking him away from his unique ability. Now, back when my children used to laugh at jokes of mine, one of their favorites was a joke about the fact that there's a girl standing on a roadside corner and with a violin under her arm, and she stops an old gentleman and says, "Excuse me, sir, could you tell me the way to the Royal Concert Hall?" And the old man very wisely says, "The way to the Royal Concert Hall is practice, practice, practice." Now, I'm a big believer in practice, 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 and I try and reiterate that to my daughters as much as possible. And in fact, actually, Sir Ken Robinson, the late Sir Ken Robinson, amazing speaker and author, talks about it as your element, finding your element and then delegating everything else. And there's really a couple of reasons why this is probably one of the most powerful principles in business. And the reasons are that, firstly, when you get rid of, generally speaking, the thing that you love most and that you're best at, when you're in your element, essentially, that's the thing that's probably the most profitable aspect of your business. So everything else that you do above and beyond that is taking you away from your most profitable activity. So delegation is, you've got to delegate all of the rest of that stuff. And there's a whole load of exercises that we can take you through in the Trusted Team that can help you understand how you can delegate more and focus more and more of your time on only doing your element. So that makes the business more profitable. But there is a side benefit that only occurred to me much later on, having done this in my own business for many years. And that is, there's some research by a guy called Anders Ericsson that gets quoted a lot in lots of different books. But it's all about becoming an expert in something. And to become an expert, you need 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. And so the more you get rid of the other stuff and only focus on the bit that is your element, the better and the better you get at it. And that means you become amazing at that one thing, which again gives you an even greater advantage. there's a famous book called Flow, which is about, kind of when you're in that zone. So again, what you're doing by getting rid of all of the other stuff is giving you more time in the thing that you're really good at and you love. And that's when you're in that flow zone. And by doing that, that's when we're at our best. And not only are we amazing at it, particularly with more and more deliberate practice, but also it gives us energy rather than sapping our energy. And so, you have those days where you've had like a number of client meetings and they've all been really good client meetings, and you get to the end of the day and go, wow, that was a brilliant day. So I've been in my zone. I've been in flow so much of today. We need to create more and more of those days because it energizes us, and our energy energizes the clients. Now, you may be saying, well, that's all well and good for you, Charlie. You've got a team around you that's designed to delegate things to. I don't have that. But in this day and age, you don't actually have to employ people. You can outsource work really easily through, whether it's through platforms like Upwork. There is just people all around the UK and all around the world that are desperate to take your stuff, because what isn't your element is somebody else's element. Like my PA, for example, she's amazing at organizing stuff. I'm really not. And so that's giving her element to work on, and it's taking away the stuff that isn't my element. Now, we actually see this a lot in financial planning in particular, which is one of the reasons why we are launching a company called Accelerate to help financial planners delegate more, optimize their processes, get more of their time back so that they can either see more clients, spend more time with the people they care most about, spend more time looking after themselves or enjoying the activities they want to join. I'll tell you a little bit more about Accelerate at the end of this workshop. But one of the most powerful things that you can delegate is your inbox. The inbox is the scourge of so many business people's lives. I remember when I was trying to get super fast broadband to our offices in Seaton, chatting to, I was trying to get hold of the head of BT Business. So this was for a small village in the smallest county in England. And I remember having a conversation with him via email at midnight about Seaton's broadband. Now, that's great for me as the person in that lives in a small village in the smallest county in England. But actually, is that a sensible use of the MD of BT Business's time? Of course it's not. So outsourcing your inbox, we get so many emails nowadays, having somebody screen those emails and go, right, these are the really important ones, deal with these ones, today. These are the really kind of the ones you need to see, but really aren't that important. So deal with those some point this week or fortnight or whatever you decide. And these are kind of all of those news emails that you go, or product emails that you go, well, look, I just need to scan through those when I'm in my news reading mode. But having people organize your inbox for you, whether that's somebody internally or somebody externally, is incredibly powerful. It just frees up so much time and allows you to focus on your element. So let's dive into one more principle, and this is within the EPIC business plan, and this is about innovation. And to talk a little bit about innovation, I want to talk about the business life cycle. So the business life cycle, very much like a human, goes through from birth right the way through to young adult maturity, and then as far as death. But how does this apply to business? Well, obviously at birth, you have the birth of a new business, and that's really about just kind of helping it stay alive. And then you move into the toddler stage. Now, it doesn't really give you anything back at this stage, just grief and some pride of ownership. It's a race for survival and it needs 100% of your attention. It crashes around from one thing to another and causes as much chaos, really, as it solves. But the company at this stage is learning to walk. And as the company grows, money is tight, and it's very much a hand-to-mouth business. Cash flow is the biggest restraining factor. But that said, your people and your brand are growing, and your business is learning to run. Now, as the parent of two teenagers, I'm very well aware of this stage. So as a teenager, the cash flow is less of a problem because the business is starting to fly higher, and you think that you're a bit of a genius, actually. Almost everything you touch turns to gold. Your business is making progress and you're making good sales, but not necessarily great profits. One of the biggest problems, though, is that it still requires the business owner to run the business and often to generate the revenue. Teenagers also have a habit of taking too many risks. Some of those risks will pay off, but some don't. And these risks can be the making or breaking of your business. But because the business owner is still very much at the helm, there's also the risk that the lack of adequate management leads to the downfall of the business. Then we move through to the young adult stage of the business. Now, those who don't take too many risks in the teenage years and blow up the business at that stage progress to making healthy sales and with a stronger cash flow. That said, in the young adult stage, you'll find that the processes and the systems tend to be the thing that hold it back. To progress, business owners need to make the systems more scalable and repeatable. And it's also the stage where the business owner is starting to step back from some of their roles, delegating more, as we just talked about. And it's at this stage that the profits really start to appear. So if we want to get from up to young adult, then we really need to be delegating more and more as business owners or professionals in the practice. And the sweet spot that we're desperately trying to get to is the mature adult stage. This is the prime of your life. At this stage, you have the systems in place to run the business smoothly. Strong growth can continue, but in a more sustainable fashion. The main characteristic here is that the business owner now has a management team in place so that they are free to spend as little or as much time in their business as they choose. And it's at this mature adult stage that the business is worth the most amount of money if you were going to sell it. It's at its most saleable, and this is essentially where you're aiming to be as much of the time as possible. This is where you're trying to get to, and you delegate to others by achieve that, creating amazing and repeatable systems, and have handsome profits to show for it. And it's at this point that the company becomes so much less dependent on the founder, maybe even not dependent at all on the founder. And that is why it's so valuable at this stage. Now, some people would say this is a stage that I should be well familiar with, having got into Ironman and ultra marathons and all of that sort of stuff. So this is the midlife evaluation stage of the business. And this is where things start to break down a little bit. The company loses its way a little bit and continues to age. Old systems make it less and less dynamic. And then it moves into the aging business stage. I'm definitely not there yet. Breakdown continues to accelerate in the business, and the problems of the business seem to be from external causes, not internal. And people, business owners tend to blame others for the shortcomings. But this is where the most talented people in the business start to leave. You then head into institutionalization, where the organization is only kept alive through outside subsidization. And sadly, after this, it comes to death. But there is a way in business and in real life, but I haven't really got time to talk about that today. But there is a way to reverse the aging process. So let's take Apple as an example. When Apple, after Steve Jobs was booted out of Apple in 1985, the company started to age. It came close to collapse and was probably as far as institutionalization. But Steve Jobs returned to Apple in 1997, and in order to save it, he simplified the range, eliminating many of the options that customers had because they caused complexity. He then ramped up the innovation of the company, leading to the introduction of the iMac, then the iPod, iTunes, iPhone, and then finally the iPad. And it was through innovation that Steve brought Apple back from institutionalization back to being a prime adult stage, which is, like I said, where we're all trying to get the business to. Ironically, in the absence of Jobs following his death, it could be argued that it crept back into midlife evaluation and maybe even into aging company until 2020, and that was really because innovation had slowed. Since 2020, innovation's been back at the forefront of Apple, and it's returned to its former glory. So if you want to ensure that your company continues to grow and improve, you must ensure that you're continuing to innovate. To use the words of Tony Robbins, you need to strive for constant and never-ending improvement in your business. And that's something that, being a keen cyclist, Dave Brailsford talked a lot about. He gets known for the term marginal gains, and he was just looking at ways that he could make every aspect of the cycling teams of Foreman, both for Team GB and for Team Sky as it was. How can they make them better? How can he get them sleeping better? How can they get the bikes better? How can they get them warming up better? How can they get the equipment better? Every aspect was looked at to try and give them little compounded gains across lots of different areas. And you can do the same in business. So we have a monthly meeting in my businesses where it's all about constant and never-ending improvement. We have one that's around outstanding processes. We have one that's around outstanding marketing. We have one that's looking at the front stage of the business, what the clients see. We have another one that looks at the backstage, what goes on behind the scenes. But probably the most powerful energy meeting we do with my team each and every year. And I attributed this particular meeting to us getting 50% new business growth year on year for 7 years. And like I say, that was this particular meeting, which is just an incredibly powerful process to go through. And it's what we call the 10 by 10 by 10. And so all we do as a team is we take this as the slightly expanded version of our phenomenal process that I talked about earlier on, the efficient wealth management process. And it basically takes each of those stages and looks at how can we improve each of those stages by just 10%? How can we create 10% more calls with prospects? How can we convert 10% more of those calls to exploration meetings? How can we convert 10% more of those exploration meetings to the financial plan? Now, you would think that if we do all of that, we get a 10% increase in our business, but we don't, because it compounds up. So actually we get, and if we can deliver that 10% in each of those areas, we get an 80% increase in our business. It really is an incredible way of ramping up your business growth and to work with the team on each of these different areas of the process. But you've got to have defined your phenomenal process for this really to work well. And then it's and there's lots of other energy meetings that we do as a team. We have quite a few different ones. But ultimately, when you're innovating in your business, you've got to be trying different things, measuring their success and failing fast. Because I don't know if you've read Matthew Syed's Black Box Thinking, fantastic book, but in that book, he talks about Unilever and the problematic nozzle. So Unilever, one of the things they do is they make washing powder, and they had a nozzle in the process of making washing powder that was massively, it was creating a big problem in the process and basically creating a huge amount of wasted product. So they got all the engineers in Unilever to try and fix this nozzle problem, and all the expertise of all the engineers, they could not fix it. So in an act of desperation, they gave this nozzle problem to the biologists in Unilever. Now, the biologists had no clue as to how to fix the nozzle, but they did have a different advantage, and that was they understood evolution very well. So what they did was the biologists took the nozzle and they made 100 different variations of it. They took the best performing nozzle from that and created 100 different variations of that. They then took the best performing nozzle again, created 100 different variations on that, and they eventually fixed the problem. And they fixed the problem without knowing why they'd fixed the problem or how they'd fixed the problem. They'd just used failing fast to fix the problem. And ultimately, that's what we can do in our business. And particularly in this day and age with our marketing, we can fail fast with our marketing. You can you can create an advert that you think is going to work really well, but instead of creating one, create 3. Put 3 on social media and let your customers decide which is the best advert. And once you've worked that out because measuring the performance on social media is really, really easy. Once you've worked out which was the best, you create 3 variations from that. Again, which is the best, 3 variations from that. Fail fast, measure the results, and then ultimately you can innovate your way to incredible success. And the same applies to every aspect of your business. Now, one of the other ways that you can improve innovation in your business is to read. And so I'm a big reader, as I've already told you. I've read over 200 business books in the last few years. And they give me a constant stream of new ideas for improving our business. But what I realized a few years ago, actually, when I was reading Delivering Happiness, which is here by Tony Hsieh, I was reading that and I thought, well, hang on, I'm getting huge amounts of value out of reading these books. Wouldn't it be amazing if all my team were reading these books too? So I came back and created the Learning Library, put together all the best books that I'd read and thought would be really powerful for the team to read. And I basically said to them, good news, guys, you can have a pay rise for every 5 books that you read on the Learning Library. And literally Charlotte said to me at the time, Charlie, can I just make sure you just told us we can have a pay rise for reading books? She thought it was absolutely amazing. And actually, the whole team have found it to be amazing. But what's amazing is that because we always paid them more for taking exams in our sector, but actually, when they read books like this, they become far more powerful, far more focused individuals within our business. So whilst we benefit from them growing as individuals, the business benefits from having better, stronger, more focused individuals within that business. It's an incredibly powerful tool. So I really encourage you to do that. I'm happy to share it with any of you how we did that. And one thing that works really, really well combined with the Learning Library is the working on the business principles. So we ask our team once a month to just stop working on what they normally do and spend an hour thinking about how we can improve the business. Now, that could be their element of the area of their business that they work in. It could be something totally different. But for them, for the book to count that they've read to count towards the Learning Library, they have to write it up in their working on the business. We only ask for a paragraph or two, but it's literally right. Okay, you've read the referral engine. What have you taken from the referral engine that we could apply to our business? Because if it's the person in finance reading the referral engine, it's going to be completely different to what I got from it as the business owner or as the financial planner. But imagine how powerful it is to have your team reading these quality of books and then coming back to you with ideas on them as to how they can improve their area of the business based on the learning of those books. It's incredibly powerful. You're building a team of entrepreneurs, which breeds a culture of constant, never-ending improvement, constant innovation in the business, which is so important because if you're not growing, you're dying. So one thing that I started talking about before, while we're waiting for people to dial in, is about merging business with fun. And I really am a massive believer in this. And it's something I talk about in Entrepreneurial Happiness. I'm always looking at opportunities to how I can merge business with fun. Is there a business excuse to go and play St. Enedoc, my favorite golf course down in Cornwall? These are all photos that I've taken while I've been working. The shark diving was in just north of Miami. And I was in Miami for our annual global conference. The cycling bottom left was in Malibu. Just incredible experiences that have all been part of work. And so making that fun, tax deductible, and merging fun with business is so important. And it's been something that's been robbed of us because of the plague and the regulators over the last few years. And it's something that we can get back and really should get back so that we can live a fulfilled life. So far this morning, I've talked about the 3 areas to getting to entrepreneurial happiness, getting the practice working better. And that's about making more money, because if you don't make enough money, you can't live the life that you want, or employ the people that you want, or employ the strategies that you want within the business. It's about getting your time back, because if you don't do that, it's going to impact your health, your time with your family, and you're not going to be able to live the life that you want to live. And then finally, it's about the fun in business, because ultimately you don't want, we spend a lot of time at work. We don't want it to feel like it's a chore. And for that, I created the Profitable Business Plan that helps you generate a consistent flow of right fit clients, as well as knowing the numbers inside your business better than ever before. Created the Free Life Business Model, which is all about getting your time back so that you can actually only work, you can get away with working the amount of time that you want to work rather than what you feel compelled to. And then finally, the Epic Business Blueprint, which is about helping you create more fun in your business and innovate your business just to know that it's continuing to grow into the future. And these ultimately are the principles around which we're going to be talking and working through and innovating in our practice in the new business that I'm launching, which is called the Trusted Team. And the Trusted Team is really about, like I said, it's about innovating in your business. It's about helping you build stronger relationships or partnerships with like-minded professionals that look after your right fit clients, but that aren't in competition with you. And it's also about merging business with fun. And we do that through a series of different events. We do workshops. We do events through like golf days and the like, and I'll explain those in a second. These are the workshops are in person and online. And we get a whole range of external speakers so that you're getting expertise, not just from me, but from people at the absolute top of their game. And it just forces you that every couple of months, because every 2 months, you're working on your business as opposed to in your business. And that day of thinking will help you innovate and improve your practice at a far faster level than you've done before. And ultimately, it's also about bringing fun back into the workplace. So the workshops themselves, like I said, they happen every 2 months. We have guest speakers, and those guest speakers cover everything from, we've got people lined up for marketing, creating your phenomenal process, looking at goals that can be for you and your clients. It's about innovating in your practice, but it's also about building stronger partnerships with like-minded professionals that also serve the same sort of right fit clients that you do. Because I know from experience that if you sit down over a coffee with, let's say, if I sit down over a coffee with an accountant, I can potentially, we can all talk a good game, and potentially maybe there might be some referrals flow, might not be. But I know from experience of attending workshops personally, if I spend time kind of understanding their goals and them understanding my goals, or them understanding my process and I understanding their process, that builds much, much stronger relationships, which allows us to work much better going forward. What we'll also do in addition to looking at improving our practice and improving our strategic relationships, I really want to spend some time in each of the workshops focusing on improving health, looking at improving longevity, and also personal development, because those are areas that are really close to my heart. But I think ultimately, if you want to have a healthy business, you've got to be a healthy business owner or a businesswoman. We've got some amazing guest speakers lined up for these workshops. So 3 examples are Georgia Kirk. Georgia helps entrepreneurs write books. She actually often writes the books for them. She also helps them create podcasts, basically helps them find their right fit client by creating content and marketing themselves as the expert. We've got Andy Harrington lined up, who is a world-renowned top speaker, and he trains people on public speaking, but also talks about how you can start to change your business. Had a huge impact on my business, dealing with one-to-many as opposed to one-to-one, which is the historic model for most of our businesses, I would argue. So he's a top world-renowned speaker. And then Michelle Hoskins, any financial planners on this call will probably know Little Miss Wow, or Michelle Hoskins as her real name, but she'll show you how you can wow clients through creating amazing processes in your business. So we've got some incredible speakers lined up. And I said, in addition to the workshops that happen every 2 months, we're going to be hosting a series of events. So we will have golf days, we'll have fine dining meals, we'll have cycling, we may well do a Land's End to John O'Groats ride for those. And again, like if you want to build strong relationships with other professional partners, what stronger way could you do it? What way could you do it better than spending 10 days cycling the length of the country with them, or spending a few days skiing over a long weekend with them, or a day at the races, or whatever it is. It's just a brilliant way of building stronger relationships, but also making fun tax deductible, which I'm a big fan of. And those events you just join ad hoc as you want to. They're paid for separately, because obviously we know that you probably won't be interested in all of them. If you don't play golf, you won't want to come on a golf day. In addition to the workshops every 2 months and the events happening kind of sporadically throughout the year, we also will be doing what we call learning lunches. So that will be some of those taken by me, and I'll be picking out, often I pick out a book, a really powerful business book, and look at how it impacted our business. So there's 3 examples: When by Dan Pink, Traction by Gino Wickman, incredibly powerful book, but also Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, all brilliant books. And I can take out the key points, and then you can either just learn from those or go off and read the book afterwards if you decide. But also what we want to encourage is members of the trusted team to also speak. So if you've got a particular area of expertise, you can share that with the whole network of trusted team members, both current and in the future, because we'll create an online portal, so it'll all be recorded, so that you can share that expertise with them, again, allowing you to build stronger relationships and receive more referrals. Now, I said earlier on, I would share with you an example of one of these partnerships worked really well for us. So this was us. This was when it was just me as an advisor, so a few years ago, and I partnered up with a 6-partner firm of accountants. And in the first 18 months, they generated 30 referrals that they sent to us, but we also generated 8 referrals that we could send back to them. That we wrote just shy of £300,000 worth of new fee income just from the clients that they introduced us to. And of that, we gave them, so from that, we gave them £72,000 of fee income. So they didn't have to do any work for that £72,000 other than just refer the clients across. We had to do less marketing, but we also, because of the work that we did on their clients, were able to do more of their accountancy fee work. So that increased their core accountancy fees as well. And of course, they also had happier clients because their clients were being looked after in more than just by more than just their accountancy expertise. So it's incredibly powerful to build these strong relationships. And so I want to share with you how you can be a part of the trusted team. So to be involved in the workshops, which, like I said, happen every 2 months, and you can attend those in person, which we encourage you to do because it's more powerful, or you can attend them online. And actually, if you intend to attend them all online, there is a discount because we don't think it's as valuable, and we don't have as much cost. If you decide you want to attend most in person, you can always, if you can't make the date, you can always attend it online as an alternative. And also we record each workshop, so if you can't attend it on the day, then you can watch it. You can play catch up. So in order to be involved in the trusted team, the fee is going to be £7,455 per year plus the VAT. That equates to £621 a month. However, we're launching this business as a brand new business. The first workshop is in September. And so for those people that sign up now, we want to give a founder member discount. And that will be a discount that remains permanent through your lifetime as a member. And so rather than paying £621 a month, that's going to bring it down to £497 per month plus the VAT. And for those people that only want to do it online, it's just £397 per month. Now that to me is an incredibly low investment to generate the sorts of the just results from that one 6-partner firm of accountants. Like I said, that generated us nearly £300,000 in fees over the first 18 months. So if you can find one partnership like that, it will cover probably 10 years worth of membership. And then the events, the golf days and cycling and all that sort of stuff, we charge ad hoc as per people's requirement. There is a selection criteria. We don't want this to turn into just your average networking event where you've got your utility warehouse guy. We want to keep it to professionals in practice and like-minded entrepreneurs that are dealing with similar types of right fit clients. So we will want to kind of make sure that you are the right fit for the trusted team. And if you are interested, if you can either just send us a message in the chat with your telephone number, or send us a quick email to hello@thetrusted.team. again, with your telephone number. We'll get in contact with you to answer any questions that you've got, and we can get you signed up for that first event that is in September. That first event, we've got Georgia Kirk speaking at, who's the lady that helps people market themselves as the experts. She helped us publish one of my 4 books, and is absolutely, she's created and published literally hundreds of books for business owners and experts. And that is, by the way, that my first book generated us over £1 million in fee income. So again, a book is an incredibly powerful way of marketing yourself. So just to wind things up, I did mention also that we are launching a new power planning business for advisors to help take over some of their admin, some of their power planning, to help them focus on their element and give themselves more time back. If you're interested in finding out more about Accelerate Advisor Solutions, just email matt@accelerateteam.co.uk, and he'll be able to help you do that. He can also run a workshop for you that will walk you through that 10 by 10 by 10 meeting that I told you about, and just allow you to get your time back so that you can live life to the max and only do the stuff that you love. And that draws us to the end of the Better Practice Makes Progress webinar. I just leave you with one final thought, which is, if you make the same decisions today as you made yesterday, you'll get the same results tomorrow as you got today. Thank you so much for dialing in. If you want to ask any questions, you can stick them in the chat, but it's all about progress, not perfection, and practice makes progress. So it'd be amazing to get you to join us at the workshops, and also to join us at the events. We'll keep you in the loop as to the events, but if you want to be a part of the workshops, please just drop us a quick message or send us a quick email to hello@thetrustedteam, trusted.team, hello@the trusted.team. That's a bit of a mouthful. And we would, we'd love to have a chat with you and explain more, and get you involved in helping you create constant and never-ending improvement in your practice, helping you build stronger relationships, and helping you merge business with fun. Thank you so much. If you've got any questions you want to ask me now, please do stick them in the chat box, and I will try and deal with them if I can, or I may say, well, let's take it offline, and I'll chat to you about it privately afterwards. I hope that has been useful and valuable to everybody, and it just leaves me to say, have an amazing day, have an amazing summer. Oh, okay, so we've got just a question in from Charlie. Thank you. Good name, Charlie. Well done. You wanted to expand your referral platform. Is there anyone else? Okay, so yeah, I mean, we've got actually, so expanding your referral platform, so building more strategic partnerships, is absolutely something that we're wanting to do. So we will have a workshop that's primarily focused on delivering, helping you generate more referrals. And we will also have a workshop that's helping you generate more referrals from partnerships like the strategic partnerships. So we will definitely be focusing on both of those elements. We've got some brilliant stuff that I'm keen to share, particularly on the generating more referrals stuff that I was actually working with Accelerate on yesterday, and it's created some brilliant ideas in the business to make it a more referable business. So yeah, hopefully, Charlie, we can help you with that. Anybody else got any questions? No, okay. Well, in that case, huge thank you for dialing in. Thank you very much. And yeah, have a brilliant day. Have an amazing summer. We'd love to get you on to. Thank you, Charlie. You're welcome. And yeah, would love to get you as part of the trusted team and help you build your practice, and just, merge business with fun. Enjoy business life. Make fun tax deductible. and create stronger strategic partnerships. So have a great day, everybody. And if you've got any questions, please do just get in contact. If you are interested in Accelerate, contact Matt at accelerateteam.co.uk. And if you're interested in the Trusted Team, send us a quick message at hello@thetrusted.team, and we will get that underway. Thank you so much, and have an amazing day.